The rise of the dollar is creating a new kind of uncertainty, and Trump's renewed presence in global politics adds a fresh layer of unpredictability. Investors feel a strange mix of optimism and anxiety, unsure whether stronger currency signals stability or the start of a deeper imbalance. Trump's bold economic messaging pushes markets into rapid motion, often boosting the dollar in the short term, yet shaking confidence beneath the surface. As the world watches America recalibrate its priorities, the question becomes unavoidable. Can a rising dollar become a burden disguised as strength? What appears to be a victory for U.S. influence might quietly pressure American industries, consumers, and global partners. The economic winds are shifting, and they're blowing harder than expected. To many, the dollar represents power, reliability, and leadership. But when it grows too strong, it becomes a challenge even for the nation that prints it. A surging dollar can weaken American exports, strain companies operating overseas, and tighten financial conditions across global markets. Trump's rhetoric seems to amplify these effects, creating sudden bursts of market enthusiasm followed by waves of doubt. The dollar's climb is not only a financial event, it's a political signal that the world interprets through multiple lenses. The U.S. may appear increasingly dominant, yet its competitiveness erodes quietly under the weight of its own currency. This paradox raises a pressing question. Is strength always an advantage, or can it slowly undermine the foundations of economic balance? Trump's economic style has always carried a certain rhythm, loud, confrontational, and disruptive, in ways that both excite and unsettle global markets. His renewed influence brings old themes back to life. Tariffs, domestic manufacturing, trade renegotiations, and a relentless focus on national advantage. While some investors welcome his unapologetic approach, others fear long-term instability. Each statement he makes can send the dollar higher, yet each policy idea he revisits brings deeper uncertainties for international trade. The contradiction grows. Trump lifts the currency while potentially straining the system that supports it. As this rhythm returns to the world stage, economists are left wondering whether the beat will build toward strength or toward fracture. Global markets react sharply to Trump's every signal. A brief comment during a rally, a social media post, or a policy hint can shift billions of dollars within minutes. Traders adjust positions, commodities swing, and bond yields pivot, all reflecting the weight of renewed political unpredictability. When the dollar strengthens in this environment, it becomes more than an economic trend. It turns into a global shockwave. Countries reliant on dollar-denominated debt brace themselves, while investors scramble to assess the ripple effects. What begins as a simple currency movement turns into a chain reaction with real consequences. The world's financial system is interconnected, and Trump's presence once again tests just how tightly those connections are woven. For everyday Americans, a strong dollar may sound like a good thing. Imported products become slightly cheaper, travel abroad feels more affordable, and the headlines appear positive. But underneath, companies that rely on global sales start losing revenue, reducing hiring, and slowing wage growth. This creates a silent pressure on households that goes unnoticed until its effects accumulate. When combined with Trump's influence, often pushing policies that can reignite inflation or spark trade tensions, the financial atmosphere becomes even more unpredictable. The result is a subtle squeeze on families who are already navigating rising costs and unstable markets. The dollar's rise brings benefits, but its hidden costs reach directly into the lives of those who least expect them. On Wall Street, the relationship with Trump is complicated. Traders remember the tax cuts that lifted markets, but also the sudden announcements that caused sharp drops. With the dollar rising again, corporate earnings from overseas take a hit, even as investors chase short-term opportunities fueled by political momentum. The market behaves like a dancer trying to follow unpredictable music. Quick steps forward, abrupt pauses, and sudden shifts. Trump's presence amplifies this instability, making the strong dollar both a symbol of confidence and a warning of deeper volatility. In boardrooms and trading floors alike, leaders wonder whether the economy can keep moving gracefully, or if missteps are inevitable. As the dollar strengthens and Trump's influence grows, international tensions begin to surface. Nations that depend heavily on the dollar for trade and debt repayment feel increasingly exposed. Some governments begin seeking alternatives, aiming to reduce reliance on a currency that can rapidly shift under political pressure. Trump's assertive diplomacy adds friction, pushing allies and rivals to reevaluate their financial strategies. The strong dollar, once seen as a stabilizing force, becomes a catalyst for global realignment. The U.S. may find itself leading a world that grows more skeptical of its monetary dominance, even as the currency's value climbs higher. American companies with global footprints face a growing challenge. As the dollar rises, their foreign profits shrink when converted back to U.S. currency. This leads to cost-cutting measures, delayed investments, and strategic uncertainty. Trump's approach, often demanding more domestic production and tougher trade terms, intensifies the pressure. Businesses must navigate a landscape where political rhetoric boosts short-term confidence but complicates long-term planning. The strong dollar becomes a silent drain on competitiveness, while Trump's policies add layers of unpredictability. Executives struggle to balance optimism with caution, unsure whether the economic climate will stabilize or spiral into turbulence. The American consumer holds immense power in the global economy, yet remains vulnerable to the consequences of currency fluctuations. While a strong dollar can ease the cost of imported goods, it also reduces the financial strength of U.S. companies, affecting jobs and wages. Trump's economic tone, at times aggressive, at times protective, creates mixed signals that confuse financial expectations. Consumers may enjoy temporary advantages, but the deeper structural impact can weaken the very economy that supports them. The paradox becomes clear. Short-term comfort can mask long-term vulnerability, and the rising dollar stands at the center of this contradiction. The stronger the dollar becomes, the more the global balance of power shifts, but not always in America's favor. Nations facing high dollar-denominated debts struggle to keep their economies stable, creating political and economic friction. Trump's style of diplomacy, often prioritizing unilateral actions, pushes some countries to reconsider their alliances and financial dependencies. The world begins exploring alternative systems, from new trade blocs to digital currencies, seeking protection from U.S. monetary dominance. Ironically, the stronger the dollar grows, the more resistance it faces. America must navigate a world where influence is rising and restraining at the same time. History shows that economic strength can breed a dangerous sense of security. As the dollar climbs and Trump's bold economic vision gains attention, some begin to believe the U.S. is untouchable. But overconfidence blinds nations to subtle vulnerabilities. A strong currency can undermine exports, weaken industrial competitiveness, and elevate national debt burdens. Trump's unpredictable strategies, while powerful, can inflame these risks. The question becomes whether the nation will recognize its weaknesses before they grow too large, or continue forward, believing strength alone is enough to guarantee stability. In the end, the central question remains unresolved. Is the rising dollar a symbol of American resilience or a signal of looming imbalance? Trump's influence elevates the debate, turning economic shifts into global events with far-reaching consequences. As markets, nations, and consumers react, the U.S. must confront the reality that strength can be both empowering and destabilizing. The future depends on how America adapts, whether it acknowledges the complexity behind the dollar's rise or assumes the world will adjust to its decisions. The answer will define the next chapter of global economics, and the world is watching closely.